Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The kickoff tournament continues last night. Two massive games going down. Cloud9 getting absolutely cooked. Was Rossi not the issue after all with his Cloud9 roster? That's a big talking point. But also Sentinels and 100 Thieves getting into some hot water with Riot Games, it seems, over some tweets they put out over the last couple of days. Rumours started to emerge that Zellsis and Booster had been fined by Riot for the tweets they came through. But Zellsis says nothing of the sort happened. Don't know where this false information is coming from. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. We're going to jump straight into the Chinese kickoff that is currently ongoing. We saw a couple of games yesterday. So Dragon Ranger Gaming, we saw them take down Tyloo 2-0. GI Gaming knocked all gamers out of the tournament in a 2-1 fashion. Interesting because you look at these numbers and you say, wow, they got slammed. But actually all gamers did win the first map. After that though, it was one-way traffic. 13-1 on the bind, absolutely crushing, and then 13-4. So, yeah, you're going to lose 13-1, 13-4. Probably it's time you get out of the tournament. And Nova Esports, they took down Wolves. This was a 2-1, a slightly closer affair here. They won the Fracture 13-11 on Wolves' pick. Nova are thinking, great, we're going to close out the series. But then it goes the other way around. But the split in the end was pretty comfortable with the dominant defensive side. So, yeah, Nova, they continue onwards. Are any of those teams really going to make it into, you know, Bangkok? I don't really think so. I think it's going to be the likes of Edward, Trace, etc. And, well, that series is actually just about to get underway. But in the meantime, Billy Gaming, they got the job done 2-0 against FPX. This series is just finished, so we don't have the Lotus stats that haven't quite uploaded in yet, unfortunately, but we do have the bind numbers. 13-11 banger. Billy get the job done. Again, Hoosie here on the Rays, absolute, you know, superstar, really. And then the Lotus has just gone 13-9 to Billy Gaming as well. So that's a 2-0 dub. They advance onwards into the upper final. Billy Gaming now just move one series away from qualifying for Masters Bangkok. If they can beat Trace or Edward, whoever plays them in the next rounds, they will be in the grand final. They will be in Bangkok. So, yeah, I think these four teams realistically are the four heavy favourites. FPX now down in losers. They'll play the winner of Nova Dragon Ranger Gaming. They've got a couple of series to win if they want to make it to Bangkok. And then Trace and Edwards, you know, I think this is going to be a pretty interesting series. Edward are the favourites, sure, but Trace Esports have been looking very good as well. So a couple of fascinating series upcoming. Of course, we'll get into that again tomorrow. The Pacific, that's underway as well. And this series, currently ongoing, it's actually now just concluded. DRX versus Nongshim Red Force. Now, Nongshim, they won a map. They won the game 2 on the Pearl here, 13-6 actually. The Lotus was a 13-11 on DRX's, well, it wasn't on DRX's pick. Flashback has a pretty poor map by his standards, 8-18, but it didn't matter in the end because Mako and the rest of the guys, they took over. They lost the Pearl, but then the Fracture was a 13-9 dub. And we're seeing Teho start to be used more and more on some of these maps. Freeing used him to great effect here on the Fracture for a 13-9 win. So this was not an easy series, not a clear-cut result, and obviously Korea versus Korea, seeing Nongshim put up this good of a fight, I thought it was actually great to see. Of course, the former Sinprasa gaming team. But, yeah, Mako, Flashback, freeing those guys. Look, when this DRX team was put together, I wasn't really convinced. They've made a couple of moves. I'm still not really convinced. But, look, they move on to the next rounds. They get the victory. They will play the winner of Gen.G RRQ. That matchup happens in a couple of days' time. And then the final game for a couple of days here in the Pacific is this one, which is just about to get underway. Paper Rex versus T1. You know, Paper Rex considered the favourites here, and I think understandably so, but on paper, this is a banger series, so we'll discuss the result of that one tomorrow. But let's talk about what's been going down in the other regions. I thought this was kind of cool to see as well, the EG kind of like academy setup, at least what they've gone for here. Just a couple of scrims going down, EG trying to get some good practice in before their losers bracket run is intending to start. They would have hoped to beat Loud, they lost to Loud, but their losers bracket run is not entirely impossible. We'll see in a second. Durka and Boaster having a bit of a back and forth as well, because of course Durka kicked out, let's not forget, by Fnatic. I think he would have stayed if they wanted to keep him, but they didn't. They decided a change was necessary, and I can understand why. But so far, with Fnatic's loss to BBL, it's not been looking great. Boaster says, opening doors or climbing a rope is a nightmare for Astra. Press F and I've accidentally taken back a star. And Durka says, you get paid to play the agent. You're complaining about that. How dare you? It's been a rough weekend, he says. Your aim is looking crisp, though. And to be fair, Boaster was actually shooting pretty well, but the team lost, and that is a problem. When Fnatic are playing their best Valorant, Boaster is bottom of the leaderboard. Like, and it's not that Boaster's a bad player, because he can shoot straight, like all pros can. Boaster less than many, but you know what I'm saying. It's just when Fnatic look like Fnatic are meant to look, Boaster's bottom of the scoreboard, everyone else is absolutely killing it. It doesn't matter that Boaster has 5 kills because everyone else has killed everything else on the server. That's how it used to be. That's not how it was against BBL by any means. And it's understandable that Boaster wants to ensure that he can shoot better, but it is still a point of conversation. Chet then says this: my list of really underrated Auglas tier 2 players NA in Valorant that all can invest in that's worth it. So I thought this was pretty cool to see. Obviously Stella getting a shout out here, a couple of the guys that subbed in for Fury the other day. That's a conversation for a second. But yeah, Stella, Screwface, Physic among others, and he writes on a load of players that team should be looking for. And I think after what we saw happen with the substitutions for Furia, this is absolutely a viable discussion. He also says that he forgot about Weeded, but yeah, another one that popped into his head as well. So thought that was kind of nice to see from Chet actually running through a lot of the players that he rates. But speaking of the guys that subbed in for Fury the other day, they had their full team. The full team finally arrived. They turned up to play Lev. Of course, we don't really know how good Lev are, but they have been getting cooked in scrims lately, so that's all we really know. And they 2-0'd Furia very comfortably. Now, of course, it's so tough for the Furia guys. They literally just landed in the US. It's been an absolute nightmare couple of weeks for them, and they've got to play a team that on paper is very strong. Com had a great series here. Demon 1 kind of did nothing, but it didn't really matter because King and Com carried the load. But a 13-8 on the Haven and a 13-6 on the split. This was, you know, not even close. It's just crazy that Furia, you know, I mean, would that team have beaten 2Game? That's my question, really, because these guys, Penny, B-Dog, Jake, Stella, and Ada, they subbed in for Furia, and they completely destroyed 2G. I don't know how good Furia are going to be, but I know that there's already people throwing around the idea that, wow, what if Furia are terrible with this new team, and they literally don't win a series this season, then their only win will be what they had with their substitute roster. So, yeah, they went down to Lev, and in a couple of days they play EG. This, I think, will be quite telling, because we know that EG lost to Loud. So, you know, Loud, on paper, pretty good Brazilian team, maybe not as good as they once were, but you know what I'm saying. They beat EG. If Furia, with their Brazilian roster, get slammed by EG, you know, then I think there will be some questions there. It's not like Fury were going to change their approach, but I just think it's a talking point, right? That, you know, they got a full substitute roster that got them the win, set them up to get to, you know, play Lev in the second round, and then they had a particularly hard time. So that game is coming up in a couple of days. We also, though, I mean, yeah, Trick mentioned this as well. Best top 5 single map performances from upper round 1. The number 1 top performances from all of the regions is Penny on the Lotus on the Rays against 2G. So, yeah, pretty funny because Penny doesn't even play for those guys. But that was the map that came in question. But the other series last night, and this was a big one, G2 versus Cloud9. After Cloud9's pretty shock upset win against NRG, how good would they look against G2? Would they prove that they made the correct decision getting rid of Rossi and that they could beat G2 regardless? Honestly, no, but equally G2 played some stellar Valorant here. Like, these guys are still looking very, very good. I mean, wow, the improvements they've made, of course, making the changes that they have done, right, you know, with Jorgamo now into the team as well, they look really deadly. And Leaf on the Chamber, I thought was really good fun to see on the Abyss. He had 22 and 12 here. They honestly kind of dominated the Abyss. It was 13-8. Cloud9 tried, but I mean, man, G2 play such impressive Valorant at the moment. It's really something to witness because they make very few mistakes. They don't tend to overcommit. Their use of utility is very impressive. Their trading is always very good. Their team play is excellent. Like, they're just really tough to beat. And I think this was impressive because I don't think Cloud9 played anything tremendously poor. It's just, they were just nowhere near as good, to be honest. I think that Oxy, he did have a decent map on the Abyss, but it is a talking point that Oxy needs to start delivering some better performances. But, yeah, G2 just completely wiped the floor with Cloud9. They move on, and if they play like that, there's no way they're not going to be in Bangkok mixing it up, I would say. As yeah, Vic wasn't very happy with his performance in the end. They go down 0-2 to G2. But the drama really was around Zellsis and what's happened over the last couple of days with Boostio and with those guys. So Jordan Belfort says Liv over Furia, G2 over Cloud9, and well, he obviously nails it on the day. But you guys might be aware of a couple of the tweets that were going down, some controversial tweets over the last couple of days, and this post hits the Reddit yesterday. Zellsis and Boostio fined for bending each other over. They got fined and had to remove the tweets. So and now Zellsis has been fined again after, you know, the hand gestures, shall we say, from before. He currently holds the records. Boostio tweet, Zellsis tweet, etc. So this guy is making the claim that they were fined for this, but I don't really know where this idea came from, because it's not clear that they were fined for anything like this. Of course, the tweets were pretty outrageous and they did get deleted, but well, and obviously Boostio then kept on tweeting from beyond, I suppose. Now, I don't know if maybe this is where the idea came from, because Boostio said, for all my troubles, please buy the bundle, which maybe implies, you know, people maybe looked at this and thought, oh, he's been fined, that's why he needs people to buy the bundle so that he can make some of his money back for the fine that he's had to pay. But it doesn't seem like that was actually the case, because, well, obviously Zellsis did tweet out, John Wright said no pictures of any of that type of stuff, they're not very happy about it, but it didn't make it clear. I guess Zellsis said, you know, make it to 10k likes on my trouble. So we did the same kind of thing. So I guess people looked at this and they thought, oh, you know, they've been fined. That's what they mean by my troubles. But that doesn't seem to actually be the case, because Zellsis comes out and says, the internet is still spreading misinformation as usual. I was not fined for that tweet, nor do I think Boostio was. The tweets were definitely out of pocket. So Riot and our orgs politely requested that we take them down. But I know that reading is hard for you guys. Stop spewing random BS that you guys just cook up in your heads, thank you very much. But you know, still buy and sell the Sentinels 100T bundles as well to make it all happen. So thought that was an interesting bit of drama. But the semi-finals are now as follows. So on the lower side, it's G2 versus Lev. G2 will be pretty substantial favourites there, I would say. And the upper semi-finals, Loud Sentinels. Again, Sentinels are going to be favourite here, but it's 11 days away this series gets underway. So it's quite a while, really, until the upper semi-finals actually happen. Before then, though, we do have the elimination games on the lower bracket side, and they've all now been locked in. So Crew 2-game, 100T NRG, Cloud9 MIBR, and Furia Evil Geniuses. Those are your 4 games. They come up in a couple of days' time. We'll talk about them in a couple of days' time. Very much interested in your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Sucks. They punish Net for it. They don't make mistakes like that.
And now you just easy to a post-plant situation.
Yeah, but he should have started leaving the smoke sooner.
Strangles. First, it's the aftershock. Forces him off the plant. Then more spray. This time,
oh my god, bro, this is fucking...
Another tickle, another attempt. It's Trait here with the Hunter's Fury to end the series.
Oh my
god. And a flawless round to cap up a 13-8
masterclass by G2. Masterclass.
They're looking to deliver on their off-season promise.
Absolute masterclass.
Aside from G2, as advertised, we expect greatness from a team that was already at the top of the international scene, already a playoff contending team at Champions at Shanghai, and now they've inserted a world champ into their roster to take them over the top. Jogamo had a great performance today, but Leaf was the standout, dropping